Morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us here for our Instagram workout this morning, this Saturday. Hope everybody's doing great today. Let's go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and get those feet warmed up, get the body warmed up. Let's go ahead and grab a short stick to get started with. For here, we're going to grab the end of the stick. So if you got your short stick, grab it right by the ends here. So let's get those feet, legs, extremities warmed up here. So I'm going to take a little bit of an offset position. So what I want you to do is I want you to pull apart on the stick. Try to lengthen it at about 40% of your max effort. And we're going to step back with the left foot, and come over your right shoulder with the stick as you're pulling it apart. You should feel the lats engage, feel those hips splitting. Now we're going to step forward with the left foot. And we're going to throw, so we're going to shorten that stick as we go through that overhead throwing process. Shorten it. You should feel your chest and to your arm line. Try to shorten the stick. Elevate that front heel. So you're shifting your weight forward onto that left leg. Now pull apart on the stick. Step straight back into that split stance again. Pull it apart. Now you're over your right shoulder. And now let's transfer back to that throwing motion. Step forward with the left foot. Elevate that front heel. You're shortening the stick. So we're getting the feet warmed up, getting those hips warmed up, and the shoulders simultaneously. One more. Step back, pull apart on the stick. About 40% of your max effort. And now step forward. Front heel stays up. Back heel is up. You're shortening that stick. Come back to center. Now let's switch sides. Okay. Pulling apart on that stick again, about 40% to 50% of your max effort. Step back with the right foot. Come up over that left shoulder. Now we're going to step forward. Going into that throwing motion. Front heel stays up. We're shortening the stick. You should feel your pecs working to shorten that stick. Now let's step back. Pulling apart on that stick. Going up over your left shoulder. You should feel the lats engaging right now. Step forward. Shortening the stick. Front heel stays up. And again, pull apart, step back with that right foot. And now forward. Shortening that stick, front heel comes up. And come back to base. Nicely done on that. Now, let's go through some frontal plane lateral shifting for the hips. Let's bring those feet relatively close together, just about a couple inches or so. Same position on the hands here. You're grabbing the ends of the stick. Here, let's start to shorten the stick. Pull apart on it. Okay? Shorten it so you feel the pecs anterior arm line. Now, laterally lunge to your 9 o'clock position. So the left foot goes out. Shift your weight and rotate the stick to your left. Try to keep your eyes looking straight ahead. Sink into that left hip. And now pull apart on the stick as you come back to center. Okay, ready? Shorten the stick, and we're going to go to the same side. Step laterally, lunge, shift your weight to that left leg. Looking straight ahead. Try to rotate as much as you can through your T-spine. Now pull apart on the stick, push off, and come back to center. One more time before we switch sides. Shorten that stick, push in on it. Step, lunge, shift your weight, pull apart, and come back. Let's switch directions here. Here we go, ready? Shorten that stick, push, step laterally to your 3 o'clock, rotate, look straight ahead though, so you get that disassociation between the neck and the thoracic spine. Pull apart on the stick, come back to center. And again, shorten the stick, lunge to your right, rotate, look straight ahead though. Pull apart on the stick, come back. One more, ready? Push in on the stick, shorten it, step laterally. Sink into that right hip, and pull apart and come back. Nicely done on that. All right, now let's go a little into that overhead position. Overhand grip on the stick. Make sure that your pinkies are firmly engaged with the stick. So don't grab too far apart so that your pinkies aren't in contact. Make sure all 5 digits are squarely in contact with the stick. Let's go into that horse stance. Nice wide base with your feet. Drop your hips down about 2 to 3 inches towards the floor. Let's keep the torso stacked. So head over shoulders, shoulders over hips. So make sure you're not leaning forward. Pull apart on that stick at about 40% of your max effort. Start to go up overhead. And hold. Keep your ribs down. So don't get into that lumbar spine. Keep your ribs and hips connected. And now start to pull the stick down behind the head. You're still pulling apart on the stick. Hold that position. Come back up overhead. You're still pulling apart. And repeat. Pull down behind the head. You should feel your shoulder blades working. Lats, hold close to your arm line. Up overhead. Let's go one more time. Pull, bring the stick down behind the head. Try not to move the head. Come back up over. You're still pulling apart. Bring the stick back to your starting position. When you see it in your peripheral line of sight, push in on the stick. Shorten it so you feel that anterior arm line helping to bring the stick back to your starting position. Nice. Now let's add some rotation to that same movement. Okay, ready? Here we go. Pull apart on that stick at about 40%, up and over. Now, rotate your torso to the left slightly, or wherever you feel comfortable. Let your head turn too. Your hips are staying facing forward, so there's got to be disassociation there. Now, come behind the head with the stick. Stay in that rotation though. So you're going to feel those obliques a little bit more. Return the stick back up. Pull back down behind the head. Back up. Let's go one more. Stay in that rotation. Back up. Rotate back to your center position, 12 o'clock. Pull the stick apart as you bring it back down to your starting position. When you see it in your peripheral line of sight, shorten the stick and bring it back down. Take a quick second. Shake those shoulders out a little bit. And now we got to rotate to the right. Here we go. Ready? Overhand grip on the stick. Pull apart on that stick. Pull and up and over. Nice. When you get to your nice end range position there, rotate slightly to the right. Remember, the hips stay square. So use those glutes to break the movement of the hips. And now come back behind the head. Back up. 2 more. Back up. 1 more. Back up. Rotate back to center to 12 o'clock. Keep pulling apart on that stick as you return the stick back to your starting position. When you see it in your peripheral line of sight, shorten the stick and bring it down. Very nice. Excellent job. Now, let's get some kayaking in. So use that short stick. Remember, you want the movement from the shoulder blades, so do not flex the elbows. Make sure that the elbows are staying in that extended position. Okay. Wide base with the feet. Grab the stick at the ends. Keep the torso still and the hips still, and start to go into that forward kayaking movement. So we're going to focus here on the shoulder blades first. Looking straight ahead. Now, let's start to laterally shift. So as you're putting the left end of the kayak or into the water, shift your weight to your left leg. Now, as you're going overhead with the left hand, putting that right hand into the water, then shift to the right. So we're going to coordinate this movement. Nice and easy, nice and slow. Keep those elbows in extension. Breathe. Try to keep the torso up. Now, let's get some lateral flexion. So now this time as we go to the right, let your head turn a little bit. Really flex that left side down. So it's like you're kind of getting a power stroke into the water. You're trying to get a little bit more oomph into it. So you should feel that lateral flexion of the spine with that rotation. Breathe. All right, one more, and relax. Nicely done on that, guys. Okay, let's grab one long stick here. And we're going to use the base of a wall, and we're going to get some hinging and some thoracic rotation. So remember, every time you go to pick something up, you're going to rotate that thoracic spine a little bit. A lot of times we get into problems because we always reach with the same hand. So we want to make sure that we're comfortable having that hinging position with that rotation in a simultaneous movement. So if you're right-handed, start with your right hand. This is going to probably feel pretty natural for you. Set your feet where you, generally speaking, where you would have your feet if you were to bend over and pick something up. You want your hand just about 12 o'clock position. Push the stick down into the base of the wall. So you're pushing down out at that angle. About 50% of your max effort. And now let's hinge. So we're going to reach for the floor with the right hand, and you're going to push your hips straight back. Soft angle at the knees, so the lower leg bone is staying nice and perpendicular. And now with the left hand, reach up towards the ceiling. Breathe. Come back up, drive up through the butt. Nice tall position. Tuck that pelvis to bring the hips into full extension. We're going to do that 2 more times. Ready? Push about 50% into the base of the wall. Hinge, sink your hips straight back. Reach for the floor with the right hand. You're going to feel that rotation kick in. And now reach up to the ceiling with that left arm. Come back up. Let's do that 1 more time. Ready? Push, hinge, and reach. Breathe. Come back up. Excellent. Let's switch sides. So, left hand is at 12 o'clock. Set your feet, once again, where you feel comfortable, typically bending over to pick up an object off the floor. Push the stick into the base of the wall at about 50% of your max effort, and hinge. Sink your hips straight back. You're going to feel that rotation kick in through the thoracic spine, and now reach up to the ceiling. Come back up. We got 2 more of those. Ready? Push and hinge. Remember, you're just driving your hips back. You're still staying on the same plane, so they're not dropping towards the floor. Your butt's just pushing straight back. Come back up. 1 more. Ready? Push with the stick and hinge. And reach up to the ceiling with that right hand. And one direction may feel a little bit more restricted than the other. And that's to be expected because we're creatures of habit. Like I said a few seconds ago, you pick up an object off the floor, you're going to probably use the same hand the overwhelming majority of the time. All right? So now let's get into that little bit of lateral spiral line, and then we're going to get into some ground-based core work after this. So let's bring your feet about 2 inches apart. Place that stick right at 3 o'clock, right outside your right midfoot. Reach up with that right hand. Come across with the left hand about sternum level first. And now take that right foot, step behind and across your midline. And now drop your hips towards the stick. So I'm dropping my right hip towards 3 o'clock. So I'm taking that hanging position on that right arm. And now I'm going to turn the torso to the left. Make sure you push the outside of that right foot down into the floor. So you're getting in that lateral tissue line, the spiral line, especially on that lower extremity. Come back up. Ease off. So see how I'm on my back toes? So I have weight on my foot also, ready? And now I drop into that 3 o'clock position with my hip and then rotate to the left. Come back up. Let's do that one more time. Ready? Excellent. Come back up. Let's switch sides. Place that stick at 9 o'clock. Left hand at the top. Rope grip. Come across with that right hand at sternum level. Step back and across your midline with your left foot. And now take your hip and drop the left hip out to 9 o'clock. And now rotate to your right. Push the side of that right foot down into the floor. Come back up. Get ready. And again, drop your hip to 9 o'clock. Rotate your torso to the right, pushing that outside of that left foot down into the floor. Come back up. And one more. Ready? Here we go. Breathe. Come back up. And relax. Nicely done. Okay, so you should definitely feel a little bit warmed up. Everything should be moving and grooving pretty well here. Now let's get into some core work. First thing we're going to do is we're going to work on lateral flexion and really strengthening that ability to get into your obliques and lateral tissue line. So go ahead and grab a couch cushion or a pad, and we're going to go into a full kneeling position. If the full kneeling position is too much for your knees, then just have a seat on a chair. Work the same exact tissue lines, all right? So whatever is appropriate for you. Now, take that stick, so we have our tall stick, place the stick out to 3 o'clock, and move the bottom of the stick away from you, so really angle it farther away. The top of the stick is right above your head, so if you look straight up, you should see it. Reach up with that left hand and grab the top of the stick. Now, my right hand is reaching out. Try to get that right elbow as extended as you can. It may be a little tough for some people, so just play around with the distance. Once you're set, push the stick down into the floor. As you push the stick down into the floor, you should automatically feel these right tissue lines contracting. And now with that right hand, focus on pulling the elbow in toward your torso. So you're really feeling those right lateral tissues contracting. You're feeling your left lateral tissues extending and lengthening. So you have an active pull with the right hand and a reflexive push with the left. Ease off. Rotate the stick slightly so we're not bending in the same direction all the time. Ready? And again, pull in with that right elbow. Your hips are going to shift out to the left a little bit, so you are going to feel that little bit of hip shifting, which is perfectly fine and necessary. Ease off. Rotate the stick slightly. Let's do that again. Ready? And again, push the stick down with both hands, and now pull that right elbow in. Your hips are shifting to the left a little bit to 9 o'clock. And relax. Now let's switch sides. So I'll take a little bit of an off stance position for this one so you get a little bit of a slightly different view. Okay, full kneeling position. Stick is out to the side. Remember, the top of the stick should be above the head. Reach over the top with the right arm. Play around with your angles on that lower arm. Try to get that left elbow as extended as possible to start with. Push the stick down into the floor at about 50% of your max effort. And now pull in with that left elbow. You should feel your hips slide out to 3 o'clock. You should feel the left lateral tissues contracting and the right tissues extending. Ease off. Rotate the stick slightly. And again, pull in. Breathe. And out. Rotate the stick slightly. And again, pull in with that left elbow. Slide your hips out to 3 o'clock. Breathe. And one side may feel a little bit more difficult to contract that lateral line. And relax. Once again, that's to be expected. Once you identify that tissue line that's a little deficient, then you can spend some time really working on improving that side. So give that side a little bit extra attention. Another rep or two will be beneficial for that. Okay, now let's have a seat on the floor and really work that vertical core structure. So, knees are going to be flexed, ankles are dorsiflexed. What we don't want to do here is once we begin the drill, we don't want to overarch the back. We want to create length. So we want to imagine that someone has a string at the top of your head, and if my torso is back at a certain angle, I want to lengthen at that angle. So I don't want to just arch the back. I want to imagine that I'm pushing my head and my torso up at that exact angle. All right? Bring the stick across the quads. Overhand grip on the stick. So play around with where you feel comfortable, but make sure all 5 digits are firmly in contact with the stick. Nice tall spine, head looking straight ahead. Ready? With both hands, push the stick down into your legs at about 50 to 60% of your max effort. Create that nice tall spine that we talked about. Breathe. And relax. That should have felt really good. You should have felt your whole entire deep front line. Should have felt the hip flexors kicking in. All right, we got 2 more reps of that. Ready? Here we go. Let's push a little bit harder this time. Let's go about 60 to 70% of your max effort. Ready? And go. Shoulders down. And relax. Good. Take a few seconds. We got 1 more rep of that. So we're holding this for about 10 to 15 seconds. For some of you, it may be a little bit less that you can hold it. For some, it may be a little bit longer. Ready? Last rep. Here we go. Ready? And engage. And relax. Nicely done. Excellent. Let's go ahead and grab that short stick. So let's switch out the long stick for the short stick. If you don't have a short stick, then just keep the long stick that you have. So let's go down on our back again. And from here, what we're going to do is we're going to go with the right knee or the right hip flexed. The left leg is going to be straight. Take the butt end of that stick and place it right on the right quad. Go back, lay your head on the floor. Grab the stick with the left hand. So there should be an angle at the stick. We want the left hand to be on the left side of your body and the right leg to be on the right side of your body. So there should be an angle on that stick. Take that right hand, go back into that overhead position if you can. If you have some shoulder issues, then just simply leave your right hand down by your side. or wherever your body or your shoulder is comfortable with. From here, imagine there's a little marshmallow under the small of your back. Squish that little marshmallow at about 40% of your max effort. Keep your left hip closed. Do not let that left hip flop open. Push the stick into the quad, into your right quad at about 60% of your max effort. And now lift your head, lift your right hand, and lift your left foot 1 inch off the floor. Push, breathe, hold. Increase that tension to 80%. Push harder. Keep that marshmallow squished and relax. Let's switch sides. So now we have your left leg and your right hand has the stick. Ankles dorsiflexed. Right hip is in neutral position, so no external rotation. Okay, squish that little marshmallow with the small of your back. Push that stick into the left quad at about 60-70% of your max effort. And now lift your head, lift that left arm, and lift your right heel. Push. Make sure you're breathing. Push. Now push harder. Push at about 70 to 80% of your max effort. Hold. Breathe. And relax. Okay, take a second, and now let's go back to that right leg. So right leg, left hand. Ankles dorsiflexed. Okay, ready? Squish that little marshmallow with the small of your back, and now lift your left heel, right hand, and head off the floor. Hold, push. Give me about 80% driving that stick into the leg. And now, think about bringing your right hand and your left foot up towards the ceiling. Keeping the left knee straight and the right elbow straight. Hold it. Now drop it down slow. Keep that marshmallow squished. Okay, ready? And again. Bring it up. Hold it. And now down slow. One more time. Ready? Up. Hold. Down slow. And relax. Okay, let's switch sides. Left leg, right hand with the stick. Ready? Squish that little marshmallow. Push that stick into the leg about 70%. Lift your left arm, right heel, head, and hold. Push it about 80% now. And now bring that right leg and left hand up to the ceiling. Hold. Down slow. Back up. Hold. Down slow. One more. Ready? Up. Hold. Down slow. And relax. Woo! That is a good time, folks. Okay. You can either just use a short stick if that's all you have, or if you have a longer stick, grab your longer stick, all right? So just one. Find the base of that wall, place the stick down on the floor. Now, if you have problems with your wrist, loading your wrist, you can either use your knuckles, and that'll keep your wrist in neutral position, which will help take stress off. If not, if you have a handle, like a perfect push-up, that will also really help in keeping that wrist in neutral position to take load off, all right? But for the rest of us, let's get into that push-up position. So you're straddling, you're over the stick. So the stick is right underneath you at 12 o'clock. Set your hands just about where you would feel comfortable doing a push-up or pushing the floor away from you. Let's go into that push-up position. Heels up. Start with a wide base with your feet. All right, so not too narrow. Grab the stick with that left hand and now push the stick into the base of the wall at about 60% of your max effort. Keep your hips down, ribs to hips, glutes contracted, and relax. Bring your knees down, take a rest. You should have felt that deep front line, especially as you're pushing that stick into the base of the wall. Let's go ahead and switch sides. Push up position. Grab the stick with your right hand and push. Breathe. Full inhale, full exhale. And relax. Take a rest. Let's do that one more time on each side. Ready? Here we go. Push up position. Switch hands. Left hand. Push. Breathe. Let's push about 80% this time. Push. A little bit harder. Don't let your weight shift back. And relax. Okay, let's go right into the right hand. Ready? And push. Remember, if you're pushing the stick back into the base of the wall, imagine that your body weight should be going forward. Push. And relax. Woo! That'll wake you up in the morning. Okay, now let's get into our stretching here. So, let's grab a chair or a bench, whatever you have available to you. Okay. And now, let's get into those ribs. Let's get into that spine a little bit. Place the stick behind your back. You want mid-back. You don't want it low back. You don't want it up around the shoulders. Just pick that in-between spot. Elbows straight, looking straight ahead. You're having a seat here because this will help keep your hips locked into place. Okay, ready? Take the left end of the stick and come across to 12 o'clock. And hold. Breathe. Lightly pull apart on that stick. So the left hand is going forward, the right hand is going back to 6 o'clock. And now laterally flex your left side. So pull the left shoulder down to your 9 o'clock or your left hip position. You're going to feel the right ribs opening up. Let your head tilt also. Breathe. Ease off. Bring your stick back to your starting point. Ready? We'll do that same side again. Here we go. Take that left hand, move it forward to 12 o'clock. Pull apart on the stick, about 30% of your max effort. And now laterally flex to your left. So you're flexing everything to 9 o'clock. You're opening up everything on that right side. Come back up. Bring the stick back to center. And now let's switch sides. Take that right end of the stick, move it forward to 12 o'clock. Pull apart on the stick lightly, about 30% of your max efforts. And now laterally flex to your 3 o'clock position. Let your head tilt. Feel that left side opening up. Come back up. Come out of that rotation. And let's go one more time. Ready? Take that right end of the stick. Move it to 12 o'clock. Pull apart on the stick lightly, about 30%. And now laterally shift or flex to the 3 o'clock position to open up that left side. Come back to center and relax. Nicely done. Okay. Let's take that chair, shift it back just a little bit. Okay, place one foot on top of that chair. So let's go with that left foot. Top, ankle extended so the top of the foot is on the chair. Step away a decent amount from the chair. You don't want to be too close. So if you can see here, my left femur is pretty much in line with my right femur. Take that stick, place it at about 11 o'clock or right in front of that left femur. Left hand goes up to the top of the stick. Push the stick down into the floor with that left hand, just about 30% of your max effort. Take the top of that left foot and push it down into the top of that chair at about 30%. You're going to feel that resonate all the way into the front of the hip. Hold that position, squeeze that left glute, and tuck your pelvis posteriorly. So the bottom of the pelvis rolls forward and the top of the pelvis is going back, like you're turning the pelvis. Hold that position. Maintain the pushing down on the chair with the left foot and the stick with the left hand, and now start to lower yourself down towards the floor. And hold. You're going to feel that lengthening on that left arm. You're going to feel that lengthening in the front of the left hip. Breathe. You're also going to feel work on that right leg right now. Breathe. Come back up. So you got a little bit of dorsiflexion work on that right ankle right there. Switch sides. Let's move the stick over in front of the right quad. Step that right foot back. Place the top of the right foot on the chair. Right hand up top. Push the right hand down with the stick into the floor about 30%. Push the top of the right foot down. Squeeze that right glute. Tuck that pelvis and hold that position. And now slowly drop. Still maintaining those lines of push. Breathe. One leg may feel a little bit more restricted than the other. Hold. Come back up. Let's do that one more time each side. Switch back over to 12, back to your left side. Left foot up. Ready? Push the stick down about 30%. Push that left foot down into the chair, 30%. Posterior pelvic tuck and drop. And now with that right hand, reach up. So try to actively reach that right hand up. You're going to feel more tension drive into that left arm line. Hold. Breathe. Come back up. Excellent. Switch sides. Okay, right foot up on top of the chair. Push the stick down. Push the top of that right foot down. Squeeze that right glute. Tuck the pelvis and drop. And now with that left hand, actively reach for the ceiling. Keep your ribs down though. Breathe. And relax. Nicely done. Now, let's grab 2 sticks. Let's get into some hanging rotations. Okay, feet relatively close together, just an inch or 2 apart. Place the sticks right outside the little toes there. Just a couple inches outside the little toes. Reach up, grab the sticks, rope grip. Let's step back with that left foot. And from here, just drop straight down towards the floor. So we're hanging on those arms. Now push the sticks down into the floor about 30%. Feel the shoulders pack down. And now rotate to the right. Bring your front heel up. So we're going to work those toes a little bit more, work the feet. The stick should give you some pretty solid stability here. Rotate to the left. Keep that front heel up. I'm going to challenge hip stability a little bit. Try to keep your hips relatively square. Breathe. Back to center. Whew. Bring your feet back. Let's switch sides. Ready? Here we go. Step back with that right foot. Back heel stays up. And just hang. Drop straight towards the floor. Don't shift forward. Just drop straight down. Take weight onto those arms. Breathe. Now rotate to the left and bring that front heel up. And hold. Rotate to the right. And hold. Back to center. And relax. Good. Okay, one stick down. Okay, now let's get some thoracic rotation in there. Wide base with the feet. A little bit outside. Let's go more to outside your comfort zone. So if you're in a position where you're like, okay, I'm good here, try to extend those feet just a little bit more, another inch or two in each direction. Okay, place that stick right inside that right instep. Your right hand is just about top of the head level, and the arm is in front, so it should be angled at about 1 o'clock. Push the stick into the floor about 30% of your max effort, and now hinge. Sink your hips straight back. So you should feel that lat on that right side opening up. Now pull the arm off to 3 o'clock. Without shifting your weight, keep your weight centered. Take that left hand, reach across and grab the stick. And now exhale and actively push the stick away from you with that left arm. The key here is trying not to shift your weight to do that. Breathe, hold. You're actively pushing that left arm away from you. You're trying to push that left arm out to 3 o'clock. You're reflexively pulling with that right arm. Ease off. Come back up. Okay, ready? Let's do that one more time. Push the stick down into the floor about 30%. The stick is in front of you. Hinge. Hold that position for a few seconds. Now let's pull the arm off to 3 o'clock. Feel the change in that front of the pec, that alignment now. Take that left hand, grab the stick and push it away from you. And now lunge to your left leg as you continue to push that stick away from you. Hold and breathe. Come back to center. And now let's switch sides. Stick against the left instep. Left hand just about top of the head level. And the hand is just about 11 o'clock. Push the stick into the floor about 30% and hinge. Breathe. Now push the hand away from you to 9 o'clock or pull that back. Take that right hand, reach across, grab the stick, and push the stick away from you without shifting your weight. Keep your weight centered. Breathe. Ease off. Come back up. Bring the stick back to your 11 o'clock position. Okay, ready? One last movement. Ready? Push. Hinge. Sink the hips straight back. Pull the arm out to 9 o'clock. Take that right hand, grab the stick, and push the stick away from you with that right hand. And now lunge to your right leg as you continue to push the stick away from you with that right hand. Breathe. Come back up and relax. Whew. That was great work today, everybody. Nicely done. Thank you for joining us today. Now, be sure to follow us on our YouTube channel. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. We appreciate everyone's support out there. Starting in September, we will be focusing on specific lines every month based off of Thomas Myers Anatomy Trains, Fascial Trains networking work. So next month, we're going to start with what we call the superficial front line. So the coaches will have more focus on during the strength and stretching phases on those specific lines of movement that we typically go through, so that a month exposure will give you, the user, a much better understanding of what each one of these lines do, and you should see some improvement in your overall performance given that 4-week structure. So be sure to look for that starting next month in September, and each month after that we'll be focusing on one specific line. So to everybody out there, thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.